Have you ever wondered about the culture that you're creating within your food truck, your business? The culture is basically how the employees feel and act towards your guests, as well as feel and act towards each other. So let's talk about how you can control the culture in your business. Hi, my name is Bill Moore. I'm the Executive Director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. So let's talk about building a culture with intention, because you're building it whether you realize it or not. Every business owner wants the same thing. They want great guest service. They want a team that's going to act like a pro. They consistently want their team to build repeat customers, and they want a reputation that spreads by word of mouth. That's what everybody wants. That's how you have a successful business. Pretty simple thing to want. But here's what nobody wants to hear. Your team will never rise above the example you set. They'll follow your rules for a while. They might perform for you when you're watching, but long term, they will follow exactly what you tolerate. They will follow exactly what example that you set. When a leader lives by do as I say, not as I do, well, it develops a culture of confusion, and confusion always shows up at the worst time when you're dealing with a guest. The unspoken rule of every team: your staff will listen to what you say, but they will learn from what you do. Okay, pretty simple rule. They will listen to what you say, but they will learn from what you do. And what they learn is how they perform. If you want professionalism, you want respect, you want clean communication between the employees and you, and the employees and the guests, you have to model it in real situations. And those real situations include when you're busy, when a customer complains, when an order gets messed up, when you're stressed and you're tired and you're worried about money. How you act towards your guests and towards your staff is what they're learning, and how they're going to act towards your guests when you're not around, or when you're too busy cooking to notice what they're doing and saying. When you have that do as I say, not as I do standard, it creates conflict. One standard is we got to do what the boss says and what the boss promotes. But then the other standard, what the team has learned, is what they can get away with because you permit it, you allow it, or you model it. Your team and every team in the world knows this. The permitted standard is the one they're going to perform, because that's the path of least resistance. They have an example they see constantly. Well, that's the thing I got to do. The permitted standard always wins. So when you tell your staff, be courteous with guests, but then you speak disrespectfully when you're mad, you didn't train respect. You trained it's selective. Oh, if I'm mad, it's okay. You can act a fool, because you act it when your employees have done something that have disappointed you. You've trained they can be selective in how they respond to the guest. Now let's take it down a slightly similar path. There's a whole bunch of businesses out there that, because of lack of creativity, have chosen to use different variations of profanity to promote their product, or even put it in the name of their brand. Now, when the best thing you've got for your product or your brand is to include profanity, you have already distanced yourself from a certain segment of the population. Doesn't make that population right or wrong, but what it's done is it's taken your business and effectively taken away a part of the population. Now, whatever it is that you sell in your food truck, you automatically have created filters. Doesn't matter what you sell, there are certain people that don't eat that kind of food. There are certain people that don't like that kind of food. There are certain people that don't like your cooking method. So you see, you've already started to segregate yourself from certain parts of the population. Now, you can't be all things to all people with your food, but you certainly can be all things to all people with your marketing. Now, whether they choose to eat with you may fall back into those other filters of don't like the food, can't eat the food, whatever the problem is. So you take a product, like there's a hot sauce out there that is loving its tagline being, I put this on everything. And of course, the word after this is bleeped out, indicating it's a word that civil people wouldn't say. It's a word you would not want your children saying to your parents or your grandparents, or wherever in your family lineage people actually had respect and civility. So when you have to market by being profane, you've already segregated yourself from a certain part of the population. No one attends a talk with a speaker and says, man, I wish that guy'd cuss more. No one goes to the grocery store to buy food and it contain a brand name word that they would not want their kids to say. They're not going to buy that brand. They're automatically going to pass it by no matter how good it is, because, well, Dad, you said we can't say that word. Business is already hard enough out there without you creating your own internal roadblocks by being edgy. The real problem with these two things that I've been talking about is sending mixed signals. And these messages are out there all the time. We care about quality, but then you as the owner cut corners off. We can't afford that. Go buy the cheaper stuff. We care about quality except when it's expensive, is what you've just taught your staff. So they're going to shortcut. Be polite is another training thing. And yet the owner will argue online. Oh, that guy's an idiot. We don't believe what he had to say. He's probably another food truck. That's not being polite. That's reaching for excuses. When someone says something negative about your business, you have to respond. If you don't respond, then that becomes the last comment in that thread. And basically it's saying this comment is true because we can't rebut it. So when someone complains, you acknowledge the complaint. Let me understand what happened and ask them to repeat it in a way that you can respond to. When they say the food sucks, well, hey dude, what about the food did you not like? What can I do to change your mind? That's being polite. Customers come first is another mantra that food truck owners will say, but then you trash the customers that come up to your food truck. Why'd that guy ask you what's on the menu? We got a menu right out there. I can't see it. Drives me crazy. People in Facebook groups, they'll ask that pot-stirring question, what do you dislike about customers? And then people always just list a whole big long laundry list of can't they read? They ask what we got is good. All of the things that people have been saying at restaurants probably since the very first restaurant ever existed. And yet you think you're the only one that ever hears it. When you set that example and complain about the guests that come up that actually are literally paying you, you're telling your employees it's okay to be a little bit rude to them because we're going to be rude about them behind their back. Follow procedures, another stated policy. People put up all kind of stuff, or at least I hope they do. This is how you make sandwich X, Y, and Z. These are the pictures we want you to follow. But then when the food truck owner is there, it isn't made the same way. Well, the picture shows the cheese on top of the meat. How can you put it on the bottom? Oh, I was in a hurry. How many times have you used that excuse? I was in a hurry. I'll do it better next time. I'll do it right next time. Customers don't separate the marketing you from the real you. This is a big one. Customers don't say when they read that tagline, well, there's marketing. They say to themselves, that's who that business is. Your advertising is a promise. Your service is the delivery. If those two things don't match, you've trained your customers to feel uncertain. So you promise that we're going to have high quality food. It's going to be hot. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be served in 6 minutes. And then you don't deliver that. Sorry, they're not coming back. Or they might come back once, but they won't come back a third time if visit number 2 is just like visit number 1. That uncertainty is a dangerous place because it creates hesitation. Oh man, I'm hungry driving down the road. Oh, look, there's that food truck that couldn't get my food out quick enough, that promised me a hot sandwich and it was really just lukewarm, that promised me smoky barbecue and I could barely taste the smoke, and they drive on. Uncertainty is dangerous. That hesitation, that friction gives a guest the opportunity to, I gotta go. And they do. Let's talk about the true cost of not leading by example. Most people think leading by example is just all about being a good person. Nope. It's a business strategy, because when you don't lead by example, here's what's happened. Team morale weakens. Employees become rule lawyers. They correct each other over the rules. You get constant pushback. The culture becomes fragile. Guest experience becomes inconsistent. The best people on your team quit because they don't like the chaos, which means the average people stay. Your reputation becomes random because you have the average employee that's sticking around because they can tolerate the chaos. They might even thrive on it. High quality people don't thrive on chaos and inconsistency. They leave it. When the owner says, why can't I find good employees anymore? And I hear this every single day. You can. The problem is the good ones won't stay because you have a confused environment. Or they might come up to place that application, look inside and go, nope, and they leave. Your team is basically you in front of your customers. When you're not present, the staff is your representative. How are they representing you? That means your business doesn't have just one face. It is Sybil. It has multiple faces. The team member who interacts with the guest is the one that's shaping your reputation. So here's the hard question for you. Are you training your team to deliver your values, or are you training your team to be walking, talking contradictions? Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding everything helpful that we do, please consider subscribing. And if you love what we do, join the NSFVA. Join our nonprofit association. We're all about helping you guys to be more successful.